Hello.
Hello, Mario. How are you?
Good, and you?
Very well, very well
Good.
here. Expecting to have this interview with you. It's a pleasure to have you in our Instagram live.
Thank you.
How are
Thank
you?
you for the.
Uh, it's Thank you to agree to be with us this today. And well, how are you in this well strange moments that the world is going through? Are you
I,
okay? How
I'm
are you?
well. No, no, I am well. I have to say that also the situation here in Italy, and especially in Milan, is improving. So luckily, it's not as bad as when I was back from Melbourne, because I was back from Melbourne the Monday after the race. After the race, we didn't have any race, but basically, I was able to fly back on Saturday, Sunday. Then I had to fly through Germany because the airports were already closed in Italy, so it was not really easy. But finally, I was back home, and we had to stay at home for quite a lot of time. Obviously, the situation was not good here, but now is improving. Since 1 week or so, we can go out, we can travel inside the region, not outside yet, but the number of infection is going down. So hopefully, it is going better and better. How is the situation there?
Well, here is picking up now the cases. We are a couple of months behind
I know.
Europe, and but well, that gave us a little heads up. We had the time to adapt our health systems, and well, we are going through the storm. I mean, we still have some tough moments ahead, but we had the advantage of well having known the situation in the US and in Europe before with enough time to make preparations.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we are going through very well until now, but well, this is day by day, and we have to
I
wait.
know. I know. Same here. Same here. I hope you have time to react properly, learning from what happened in China first and in Europe after that. It was difficult at the beginning, because nobody was. Everybody was thinking, okay, it's not our problem; it's a Chinese problem. Then suddenly we had it in Italy and in Europe, and then now it's everywhere in the world. So hopefully, other countries are just learning from what happened in Europe, and they can react quickly. And also the virus is a bit more known, and also how to react against the virus is a bit better. So let's see, and we hope to start the season very soon.
Yeah, we hope so. Um, Mario, for start, many people, well, know you everywhere. Every fan of Formula One knows you from every Grand Prix that you are out there. But we don't know where are you from. Where you were born?
In Milan. I'm Milan. I always lived in Milan. I was born here. I studied here. And then I was lucky to find a job in Milan because Pirelli is based in Milan. And I started in the company 26 years ago, but with a complete different job. I was a test driver at the beginning. As everybody in this world, we are all passionate about motorsport. So I was passionate about motorsport since when I was a child. I was pushing my dad to have a go-kart when I was 12, and I was lucky enough to race some years with a go-kart. Then I realized that I wanted to be a Formula One driver, but I realized that there are only 20 drivers, so I was not inside the 20 drivers. And I decided to find a way to go to have the opportunity to work in this world, in this environment. So I had the chance to join Pirelli as a test driver, and after that as a designer for road tires. And then I moved to motorsport in 2000, end of 2000. And I was involved in many different championships, from FIA GT to World Rally Championship, and finally to Formula One. So it was a very good experience in all this year.
Um, Working in different series before F1. What what are the challenges to make a tire? For example, we know you 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 were in rally before, and then you moved to motorsport, and then to F1. But what are the challenges to make a tire, a competition tire, different to make a tire for street? What are the different challenges you have?
You know, the level of stress that is on a motorsport tire doesn't matter if we are talking about GT racing or Formula One or rally, is the level of stress compared to a road tire. Even if we have some supercars that are quite hard on tires, but if you use a tire on a circuit or on a rally stage, obviously the temperature, the energy that is going inside the tire is much higher. And I have I want to divide when at the beginning I was in competition with other tire manufacturers, for example, in a rally at the beginning or in the FIA GT. It was not a sole supplier, but we were in competition. So performance is the target and everything is focused on performance. While when you are the sole supplier, you have a different technical challenge that is more on the fact to produce and supply a tire that is exactly the same for everybody. So sporting equity become very important. A reliable product with characteristics that are not pure performance, but are more dictated by the request of the promoter. For example, we were talking about Formula One at the beginning when in 2011 we came back to Formula One after 20 years. We had the request to make a tire with high degradation. It is clear that that was a complete new request, because in the past we were doing a lot of research in having tires with low degradation, with high consistency, with a high level of grip, and so on and so on. So it was a complete different challenge in Formula One. In rally, if we talk about rally, I know they are very popular in Latin America.
We have a rally date here in Cordoba.
I was there many times in the past, in Carlos Paz and in Cordoba, so I remember.
Calamuchita, well, the famous Condor Copina stage that every driver.
I remember the best asado I had in my life. I have to say that was incredible.
We are good on that. No, that's no doubt.
Really good, really good. No, so in rally it's different because we have also different surfaces. So we are talking about hard gravel, soft gravel, ice tire for Sweden, or special tires for Monte Carlo. It's a bit more complicated because each rally is different. So these are the main challenges that I faced during my experience. I think that it was really good for me to be involved in so many different championships, because from each one you learn something. So it's not because it's now 20 years that I am in motorsport that I don't have anything to learn, because each day, any different race, any different championship, you can learn something. So it's really important.
And talking about, well, for rally, it's clear that each rally has its own characteristics or features. But in Formula One, you have the tarmac, the track that can be more abrasive, or the tires can degrade more in some tracks. How do you handle that equilibrium? I mean, it must be hard. Obviously, there is a different components, different compounds, the type of tires, but it must be hard to have everything in count.
Yeah, it's impossible with a limited number of compounds to design tires that are specific for each circuit. For example, if we are talking about Monte Carlo, we should design tires that are for Monte Carlo only, but this is not in the plan. So when we decide to homologate 5 compounds or 6 compounds, 2 years ago we had 7, that were a bit too many. But with this, it's always a compromise. So usually, to select the 3 compounds that we decide to bring to each event, we consider the tarmac roughness, as you said. We consider the layout of the circuit. That is really important, because depending on the layout, you stress more the front tires, the rear tires. You have more traction, you have more lateral. For example, comparing, I don't know, Montreal is all about, or Bahrain is all about traction and braking. There are no fast corners. Silverstone is exactly the opposite. It's all about lateral loads. So we consider all that layout, tarmac roughness. Obviously, we have now a big database in the company of coming from previous years. And also the weather conditions expected are really important, because in some countries we know that we can have a very high temperature. It's very difficult to have, I don't know, 10 degrees in Malaysia. Usually you have 40 or more, while in some other countries it's not so hot. I don't know, like Belgium, for example. So we consider all that, okay, temperature, roughness, layout, our previous experience, and then we make the nomination, and we agree the nomination together with the FIA. That is the process that we use. Now, the situation this year is slightly different, because obviously we have this pandemic that is going on, so we don't know, we don't have the calendar defined yet, and we are working, trying to be as flexible as possible for the future, for the next weeks or month.
Being flexible means that you can actually alter compounds or alter tire types, or
No. The tires are homologated. The type of tire, that means construction and compounds, are homologated. As you know, they are the same from last year. It was already decided. We have the flexibility to decide which type of compound to bring to each event. At the moment, obviously, the first step is now to have a calendar, also draft calendar, because it's really difficult, and I can understand how difficult it is for FIA and FOM to put a calendar together in this period. So once we have the calendar, we already have a draft selection for the different tracks. If we don't have any surprise, if we are going to race in the same circuits that were already planned at the beginning of the season, we have more or less already an allocation. So we are trying to understand as much as possible what we can anticipate, to be ready at the restart with the tire, with the shipment, there are a lot of details that they are not details, a lot of items that we have to discuss, and a lot of issues that we have to fix.
Mario, and many of our fans, our followers, don't know how a tire is built. How you pass from the raw material, the rubber, and you finish with a high-performance tire for the track?
It's quite a long process, because we have some semi-finished products that we have to prepare before, let's say, making a tire. Then we have a production process for Formula One that is quite confidential, because obviously we had to develop a specific production process for Formula One. This is due to the level of, let's say, quality that is requested to a Formula One tire. What is good is that once you have the production process that is available in your know-how, in your factories, you can use it also for other tires, like road tires. Because sometimes, I'm telling this because sometimes people tell me, but Formula One tires are 13 inches, so what can you learn from that, considering that on a road car you use a completely different size? It is not true. We can learn a lot, and this is a clear example that with a new production process that we developed for Formula One, now we can transfer this to the normal production and use it also for road tires. So coming back to your original request, we have to produce the compounds, we have to produce some other materials that are both textile and metallic, because there are many components in a tire. Then we start with the carcass. We make an assembly of carcass, sidewall, and then the belts, and then the last part is the thread compound. Consider that the construction, that means all the tire except the thread compound, is the same for all the slick tires that we supply to the Formula One Championship. And this is in the regulation. So we are obliged to do that. Then we change the thread compound depending on the level of hardness that we want to supply. So we have called the compound C1, C2, C3, C4, C5. C1 is the hardest, C5 is the softest. Depending on that, we put the thread compound of C1 or C2, but the rest of the compound, the construction, is the same by rules.
And having in account that obviously you are hyper professional with this, and I have no doubt that tires are all equal, but how hard is to make every tire equal? Because how many tires you do for a single GP? How much tires
we make 1,800 tires for a single GP, and obviously we have also to consider, to plan in the production, that some tires are not good for it. So what we do is we have a lot of quality controls during the preparation. So all the materials are checked in small batches, so we are sure that each compound is exactly the compound that we want. If the parameters are not inside some very strict tolerances, we have to discharge the material. After that, we make the tire, and we have a lot of other controls after the production that are non-destructive controls. I'm talking about weight, visual control, X-ray, chirography, geometric controls, and so on and so on. And on top of that, from each batch of production, we take a number of tires to make what we call destructive control. So high speed, integrity, and all this kind of control. This kind of control are destructive, so we cannot use a tire after this kind of test, but we take some tires from each batch, from each Grand Prix. So we are 100% sure that any of the tires that we bring to an event is within the tolerances, with the level of quality that is required for Formula One. We have also a barcode in each tire that is supplied by the FIA. This barcode is a unique number that is on the sidewall, is cured together with the tire, so it is impossible to modify the barcode after the curing process. And we use this unique number to trace the tire from the beginning, from the materials and so on, to the usage, and to the end of life of the tire. And as you probably know, after the usage, we collect all the tires back. Yeah. Okay, we finish our analysis, and then we send them back to UK. In UK, we recycle the tires in a cement factory, because if you burn the tire at a very high temperature, you can produce energy, but not pollution. So at the moment, this is the system that we are using. Obviously, we are investigating other systems for the future that are even more sustainable, because one key point for the future is sustainability. So we want to be green, we want to respect the environment. Pirelli won the Dow Jones Prize for Sustainability last year, and we want to continue in researching new solutions to recycle the tire in a better way, if it is possible.
That's nice. Talking about well, your work routine. Well, we know the drivers arrive to the circuit maybe on Thursday, some arrive on Wednesday, the teams arrive a week before, maybe. How is your typical Grand Prix? When you arrive, what is your job when you are at the track? What things you have to well, check, oversee, being in top of some process? What can you tell us about?
I arrive usually on Wednesday afternoon. So my first day on track is the Thursday morning. But before myself, I have other guys coming to the circuit on, depending where we race, on Sunday or Monday morning. because they have to set up the fitting area. This is the first step. So we need to be ready with the fitting area and with the hospitality where our offices are. So the guys are doing this on Monday and Tuesday. Then the fitting of the tires on the rims, because the teams are bringing us the rims. We fit the tires on Wednesday and Thursday. I usually, as I said, I arrive on Wednesday afternoon. Thursday morning, the first meeting is together with the Pirelli engineers. So we have what we call a pre-event briefing. Is a briefing where we are all together discussing the expectation for the race weekend. So we have a look at the race weekend the previous year. We look at how the tires behaved, if we had any issue, anything that is related to tire in the weekend. And then we make our expectation for the race that is going to happen in the day after, starting from free practice. This is on Friday morning, because we have one engineer that is allocated on each team. So we need to be very well aligned in order to give the same information to the teams. Then Thursday afternoon, I stay on track. Usually I have some meetings. Sometimes it happens with the FIA, with the teams, sometimes with the drivers, or internal meetings. Don't forget that.
Media also.
Sorry?
With media also, we had a few interviews in Brazil last year.
Correct. With media, we have also a fixed meeting on Friday evening after free practice, where I try to update everybody on the findings from free practice. Friday, obviously, we have free practice, so in between sessions, we check the tires, we have discussions on how the teams are using the tires, if there is any potential issue, if we have to react in any way. We have also a couple of laboratories on track with people that are in the laboratories analyzing tires after usage. And at the end of each day, we have one briefing to discuss common stuff around tires. Media events, as you said, that happens also on Saturday and Sunday. Sunday, we have to pack up everything at the end of the race. Sometimes we have back-to-back races, so we need to be also very quick. We select tires for additional analysis, and that's, in few words, my weekend. It's quite busy, because I have also video calls with Milan, with our headquarters, or with other people in Milan. So I'm quite busy. I'm not bored, I have to say.
You are working all the time. And talking about the engineers that are working in each team, what's the job of the engineer working for the team, and that information, how they share it internally? You build some kind of information that then you can share with other teams, or is specifically for each team?
We have some data that are specific for the team, because obviously they are confidential, and some other information that is shared across the teams. We have procedures that are agreed with the teams. So, for example, each engineer that is allocated in the team has access only to the data of the team. They cannot make, also by mistake, they cannot access to the data of another team. We have all these meetings because we need to be sure that we are supplying to each team not only the same product, but also the same information, same quality and quantity of information. That is why our engineers have to follow strict protocols, and the information they are giving to the teams are within, let's say, a frame that we decide and that we agreed also together with the teams. For example, we supply averages. Okay, averages, I mean averages of pressure, running pressure, temperatures, wear profile, and so on. because we agreed that an average is not a confidential information. So you cannot understand from the average if it is which car it is, no? Because you have many cars together. But
each team can interpret that information and say, well, this message is for me.
Yes, or better to say, they can compare their own, for example, their own wear profile to the average. If they see that their own wear profile is completely different to the average, there is something, even if they cannot understand the average is from which cars, they know that is from all the cars, but obviously they have, in any case, they have a useful message for them. That is the comparison between their own car and all the rest. Without the average, they cannot compare anything. That's the point. So that's why we do that.
Excellent. Talking about the tires for the next Grand Prix, obviously you were at Australia and you had these tires ready to race. And do tires have an expiration date? I mean, you can use the same tires?
Usually is more than 1 year. We see that we know that there is no difference in tires that are produced within a year, but we try always to use batch of tires that are produced more or less in the same weeks, okay, in order to have no influence with the aging. But also consider that, for example, we already delivered the tires to Bahrain, to Vietnam. We have been able to stop the tires for China just in time, but the rest of the tires were already traveling to races. So they travel in containers that are thermocontrolled. That means that they are not subject to the sunlight, they are not exposed to excessive temperature or very low temperature. They are like in a warehouse. So basically, in Melbourne, it was not possible because we already fitted the tires on the rims. And when we fit the tire and dismount the tire, you give a stress to the bed and we don't want to refit the tire. But for the tires that we were planning to use in Bahrain and Vietnam, in China, and a couple of other races, they are in stock. So we are planning to keep them in stock, available for the next races when we will start.
Okay. And well, talking about we finally have a draft calendar with a Grand Prix in a little more than 5 weeks, 6 weeks. How do you are preparing all the logistics? What challenge posed the quarantine in the different countries for your logistics? That obviously, well, you mentioned that you have to have storages with certain conditions, and well, how that will be done for the next race? Is it too hard? You are having too much trouble with that?
That is the most difficult part of the job at the moment because, as you said, we have different restrictions in different countries. We have to apply protocols of each country that is hosting the race. Also protocols that are our company procedures. So what we are doing is we are working together with FIA and FOM. We have several meetings during each week because we are following day by day what is going on. You know that the situation is changing every day, almost every day. Now, for example, in Italy, they are going to remove the quarantine for people that are traveling across Europe. So that's an important information to consider. No, if you have to respect 14 days of quarantine every time you travel abroad, it's difficult to put together a calendar, for example. So we are working closely with FIA and FOM. We are working with our health and safety department in the company. We are supported by Formula Medicine with medical doctor Riccardo Ceccarelli. And in order to have in place all the procedures, the best possible procedures for our personnel, And on the, let's say, tire side, what we are doing is we will produce some stock of tires. So we have tires in stock available for shipment as soon as we have an idea of the calendar, and organizing our logistics in the most flexible possible way, because this is the only, let's say, preparation that we can do. Now I'm saying that in simple words, but it's not so easy, because my people, my guys are checking daily which is the situation with the flights, cargo flights, sea freight, for the trucks to cross borders. It's really difficult, and we need to pay attention not to make a single mistake, because if we don't arrive with the tires on track, there is no race.
It's a problem.
It is, yes.
Talking about, obviously there will be less people. We know, as far as we know now, we will be no people going to the race will be with no fans present, and you are mobilizing less people to the track than usual, or just the same guys as usual?
A bit less. Obviously, we have the request as everybody to send to each event the minimum number of people that is required. The problem is that we don't have a lot of people that are not required. I mean, if we don't have any marketing activity, if we don't have any media activity, maybe we can reduce a little bit this number, but we are usually 55, more or less 55 people at each event. With closed door events, we can go down to 50, maybe 48, but it's not a huge difference, because we have 20 fitters, because we need to fit 1,800 tires, and we need 20 fitters. We cannot bring the 10, because we cannot kill them fitting 1,800 tires only in 10 people. We have one engineer that is allocated on each team. They are 10 engineers. I have chief engineer, a few other people. So we are talking about 48, 50 people. Security, logistics, management. So it's easy to reach the number that I just told you.
Yes, I imagine that. You said you were a test driver when you started at Pirelli. What do you expect when you release a new tire? What do you expect? What kind of feedback you expect from a driver that you say, this is good, this is good information, I mean, I can use this? What type of feedback do you need from a?
But the feedback from a driver is always very important. In Formula One now, they have telemetry that is really important and is giving you a lot of data, a lot of information. So you can also compare, let's say, objective data with the subjective feeling of the driver. But the driver is able to make a comparison with other situations to give you, doesn't matter if the feedback is positive or negative, it's important that it's precise, that is reflecting, let's say, the truth. So it's giving us a direction. Then if we are not just talking about Formula One, but we talk about motorsport in general, for example, in rallying is even more important, because on gravel, on ice, the driver feeling, the driver feedback is really a key part of the test. So for me, it was important to start as a test driver, because I think that I'm now able to understand a bit more when they explain to me what they feel. I understand a bit more, let's say, the language. No, we speak the same language, so it's important, and it was a great experience.
Perfect. Well, Mario, we have a few questions from the floor, like they say one conferences. Uh, well, we know you are an ambulance driver, and you do this from a long time. Where that's come from? How you got involved on that?
It was because when I just finished the high school, I had some friends doing that. They were pushing me to start. I didn't want to do that. I was scared at the beginning. I was 18, and then I decided to do the training, the course that is necessary, obviously, to do this kind of volunteer service. And after that, I was like, okay, now if I don't put it into something real, I will forget soon. So I started to do this. It was really an experience. It is an experience that opened your eyes. I had the opportunity to face some situation that in my normal life I haven't faced, never, I would say, especially in this period with the COVID-19 virus. It was quite difficult sometime to do this kind of job. But it's important. I mean, we have a lot of gratitude from people. So obviously we don't have any money from that. We are volunteers 100%. We don't have even a reimbursement of the cost that we sustain. So we do that because we have the passion. We are many volunteers in Italy. My association is part of a big association in Italy that is called AMPAS, and we are, I don't know, only in Lombardy we are 112 associations. So you can imagine how big we are, and it is like a big family. And you find friends, you share experiences, you learn every day, and I'm happy to give my contribution to that. So that's why it's. I don't want to say it's funny that it has been recognized now because of the COVID-19. Some people thought that I just started because of the COVID-19. It is not possible to do that without a preparation. So I started 32 years ago, not just for the COVID-19. But it's okay. I mean, it's good because I feel that I can represent the millions of volunteers that are everywhere in the world. And their job, our job, I think it's important in many countries. And without volunteers, it's really difficult to do a lot of stuff. So happy to represent them.
Well, it's amazing. Really, all fans that saw the news that you were there. Some photographs going around, and obviously everyone is really well. They really like this, and that's why we ask you about this. Two more questions. What was the best thing and the worst thing that happened to you in a Grand Prix?
But the worst thing is when you have a problem, when you have a tire problem. So we had a few situations in the past. The worst one was Silverstone in 2013, obviously, where there was a problem, and it is difficult to manage. It is making you stronger, but it's also not nice moment. The best was when we started again in Formula One in 2011, and I remember that the first race was Melbourne, because in the calendar was Bahrain, but it was cancelled. You remember. So we went to Melbourne. We were very nervous, but very, very nervous. The race was okay. It was a beautiful race. And then I don't want to say we were crying at the end of the race, but very close to. And another great moment that I remember was many years ago. I was involved in the project with the Maserati MC12 for the FIA GT. The car was very good, very fast. And we were first and second at the Spa 24 hours. It was 2005, I think, and it was amazing. It was incredible because you have to stay to the pit wall for 24 hours or more, because actually you start Saturday morning. So you finish the race that you are completely destroyed. And when you see the cars that are half broken, dirty, and so on, after the checkered flag is something that is difficult to describe.
Yes, I imagine that. Well, and the last one, and this comes from fellow journalists, and what makes the coffee at the hospitality in Pirelli attract so good that people
Because of our people, because of our hostess and our people. So I'm sure that we always wanted to make our hospitality, we wanted to call it Casa Pirelli, or like the home for everybody, because we supply the tires to everybody, and we are very happy to have the media for a chat, for a coffee, the drivers, the teams. We have drivers having lunch with us or dinner, team principal, or other senior people in the paddock. But it doesn't matter if they are senior or not. We have a lot of engineers, mechanics, and everybody is more than welcome. We want to have a place where you can stay 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour, and relax and have a chat in a friendly way. So according to what you are telling me, we have been successful in that.
yes, you do a good job. We experience it firsthand every GP. Well, Mario, it's been a pleasure talking with you. Thank you very much from our MotorLat.
Thank you.
To be with us today. You've been very kind to answer all our questions. And well, we hope to see you soon at the track as usual. And
Sure.
we hope to, well, be back to normal as soon as possible. I would like to thank you again. And well, take care, and you and your family. And
Thank you.
we hope you see you soon at the track.
Thank you very much. And it was a
Bye-bye.
pleasure. Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.